Hi there, it's Carol with Carol B Crafts. Today I want to show you my April swap card for my team, and the theme for the swap was white, black, and gray. So that's where I got these colors from, and it says "From the Heart" inside. Now the stamp set that I used is the Petal palette, and I'm so glad that Stampin' Up! Is carrying this over into the new catalog, because it's one of my all-time favorite stamp sets. So let me show you how I made this card. Since it's a swap card for my team, I'm going to have to make several of them. So I'm going to use my Stamparatus for at least the front part. The inside sentiment, I might just use my Stampin' because it's easier to do that. Now this is a great way to use up that Petal Passion paper that we all love. If we have some of that still hanging around, this is a great way to use it up. And so I'm using the vine pattern, and this is 4 by 5 1/4. And that's going to go on a smoky slate panel that is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and that will go on our card base, which is our regular A2 size card base, 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, scored at 4 1/4. So I'll go ahead and fold that. So that's going to be this part, and then this is the panel that we're going to actually stamp the roses and the best wishes, and it is 3 3/8 by 3 3/8, and it's going to go on another smoky slate that is 3 1/2 by 3 1/2, and it'll go there, and that'll go on the front. And then our inside sentiment is going to be our Whisper White, and it is 3 1/4 by 4, and then it's going to go on a piece of smoky slate that will be 4 1/4 by 3 1/2. So that'll go on the inside. And then the little hearts that are on the inside sentiment panel, as you can see, those are, I wanted to use something that wasn't being discontinued with the new catalog, so I chose these little hearts from the support ribbon framelits. And so I have this larger heart and this smaller heart here to cut out the larger heart and smaller heart. And of course we're trying to use up all of our embellishments and things, so I have these white perfect dots. I'm not sure what they're called. I'll put it on the screen, but I wanted to use those on the front to kind of pretty up that ribbon. Now this ribbon is it's 6 inches of the basic black shimmer ribbon, and it is from the Occasions catalog, and it is going to be carried over, and I'm really glad they're carrying several of their ribbons over, so we get extra use out of them. So this is their basic black shimmer ribbon. So let's get started. I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to use the Stampin' for my 3 1/8 by 3 3/8 by 3 3/8 Whisper White front. So let me clear this away and we'll get started. Now this is I haven't used my Stampin' as much as I would like to have, but as you can see, I'm using some round magnets instead of the bars that come with these. These are some magnets that I purchased on eBay, I think. They're Tonic Studios magnets, and I've wrapped them in clear plastic, and I've left a little tab here to kind of move them around to make it easier to move around. Now this is actually a square piece, so I've decided that I'm going to work 1 inch from the top and 2 inches from the side. So I'm going to put just a little bit of adhesive here on the back, not where I'll be stamping, because I don't want it to be. So I'm going to put that. Now this is I'm going to be using clear mount stamps, so I can do this. Okay, so I had to take a little break. The mowers came to do the landscaping, so I've taped this to 1 inch from here and 2 inches from there, and I'm going to place this the roses in the corner, and I'm going to have it hang off just a little bit. Well, first of all, I need to put my plastic on top of this. This is my plastic from my Stampin'-Up, and this is going to help me to know where to place this if I have to readjust it. And if you don't have the plastic from the Stampin'-Up, you can use a piece of plastic from like the what did we sell? It's the window sheets. I can't remember these things. So I have this where I think it might go, and I'm going to ink this up with my Memento black, just enough so that I can get an image to see if that's going to hang off of my paper or if it's going to be where I want it. And it looks like it's going to be close to the edge but not over, which is where I want it. So I can go ahead and stamp my image, and I'm guessing I don't want to, it's a big stamp, so I don't want to get my little magnets in the way. I'm going to put my stamp case underneath there, so I'm going to ink it up really good this time, and I think I'll have to stamp it twice because that's what I've been having to do. So there's once, and I'll ink it up again, and that's what's good about the Stamparatus, is that you can stamp twice, the image twice, and it won't move on you. So there we go. Now I want to see about doing the best wishes, but I want to use a separate. I'm not going to use this. I'm going to flip this and put the best wishes on the other side. So what I want to do now is bring in the plastic sheet again. Have to clean it off, and that's why I put the adhesive on the back of this so that it will stay in place without magnets, because it's hard to put this over the magnets. And I'm going to bring in my best wishes, and I think I want it about right here. That's about where it is. And so let me see if that's straight. I will ink that up. And we'll see. And it looks like that is about right where we want it. So I will go ahead and ink up my stamp, put my magnets back in place, ink up my best wishes, and push that down, and that's good. Now I could do another one if I wanted to make that a little bit darker. I think my ink pad is a little dry. So that looks good. And now I want to do this part down here. So I could put it here, but I have stuff up there on my, so I'm just going to take this off, set it aside and put this one in place. Now you wouldn't have to do this if you had room to do this, but I don't. So now this is going to be in Smoky Slate, and we want it down here near the bottom. So let me get my Smoky Slate out. Now I don't want to have this stamp is wider than my paper, so I don't want it stamping on my base. So I want to put some paper underneath it so it catches the over the sides. So I have cut a piece from the grid paper that we sell. You could use any kind of paper really. I'm gonna go ahead and get this up because I don't need it taped down any longer. I'm going to try to get that up without damaging it. So let me put it back 1 inch from the top, 2 inches from the side, and I'll put these in place. I like these little round magnets because you can actually get them closer to each other and they don't have a fit about it. So now I'm going to get my Smoky Slate and ink up my stamp, and I do know from experience that I'm going to actually have to stamp this twice. Now let me move this over. It's in the hinge. Okay, so there's one, and I just want a little darker so I can go ahead and do that. Okay, so that is my first one and it's finished. So now I'm going to start on doing multiple ones, and I won't have to put tape on them, just on this first one. So I'll bring in another one of my squares, and I'm going to put it 1 inch from the top, 2 inches from the side, and I'm just going to put it in place like this with my magnets. Ink up this stamp here. I'll do it twice. Okay, now I'm done with this paper. I'm going to bring down my magnets, switch out my plates, and because I put this the same spot, 1 inch and 2 inches, I don't really have to worry about placement. Ink that up really good. And go down. Be sure not to get ink on your fingers and such from the other stamp. Alright, ink that up again because it takes two. Whoops, that's wet from where I washed it, so it's sticking. Okay, I think that's good. Now I'm going to flip this over. Now I've got my best wishes. And let's do that one more time, just to have a nice deep image there. Okay, so now I've done this one. I'm going to leave that best wishes in place, and I'm going to get this next square, 1 inch from the top, 2 inches from the side, and I'm going to put my magnets in place. Now when I clean my stamps, I normally put them in my stamp cleaner, Stampin' Scrub, but what I decided to do is I took this out of my Stampin' Scrub, and now I can just rub my stamps like this when I have them on my Stamparatus. Now for the inside sentiment, I am going to use my Stampin'-A-Jig, but you could use the Stamparatus if you wanted to. For me, it's just easier to use the Stampin'-A-Jig for some things. So here we have what the inside should look like. So here's my hearts, and you can see I use the Petal palette paper, Petal Passion paper, and I just cut out those hearts from the support ribbon Framelits. And a 4x6, you should be able to cut out 6 hearts and 6 tiny hearts. And this is the back pattern. So I used the polka dot pattern, but you could use another pattern if you wanted. So we're going to put this on. The big heart we're going to put on with some snail. So I have my snail here. And just wherever you think it looks good, kind of right there. And then the little heart we're going to put on with a glue dot. My paper wants to get in the way. I'm just going to put that off to the side here. Anywhere is fine. And I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive on the back here. I'll bring that paper back in that wanted to get in the show, because I'll use it for my Stampin'-A-Jig. Alright, so I get my Stampin'-A-Jig and my plastic back out. I've cleaned it. And the stamp that I want to use is from the heart. And I have it on a D block right here. We're going to use Memento. So I'll stamp my, put my plastic in place and stamp my image so that I can line it up where I want it, just below the hearts. That looks good. Okay, from the heart. So now this is ready to go on our smoky slate panel over here. We'll go ahead and put our adhesive on it. And it's going to go here. And then that will go on the inside of our card. So let me bring the rest of our stuff back over here. And here's our card base. So we'll go ahead and put that on the inside of our card base. Okay, so that's done. The inside's done. Now we're ready to do the outside. So we'll go ahead and put our DSP on our gray, our smoky slate panel. And that will go on top of our card. Okay, so I had to stop it again because of the landscapers. So we need one of our images that we stamped. We're going to color this in, and I'm going to use the Stampin' Blend markers. I have the smoky slate, the light smoky slate for the roses, and the dark smoky slate for the leaves. Now to give these a little dimension, once this dries, because I'm just using the regular, I don't want to saturate the paper, it'll start doing funny things. I'm just going to go in here near the edges of the petals, and I'm just going to add a little shading by adding a second layer of color. That just adds a little shadowing and layering to keep it from looking so flat. And then once that's dry, I'll go in again a little closer to the lines and add a third shadowing so it has even darker in some places. And I'm going to make the centers dark too. Now I'll do the leaves with the dark smoky slate. And then once that's dry, I'll go in again near the veins of the leaves and give it a second coat to give it some dimension. Okay, we're done with our coloring. This is ready to go on our smoky slate panel. And we're going to put this on our card front with some, well, we're just going to put this flat. I was thinking we're going to put it on with dimensionals, but we're not. So on the back here, we're going to measure a 1/2 inch from the bottom with our pencil. And then we'll put our adhesive just above that line, about 1 inch in. Gives our ribbon something to hang on to. Space it evenly. That's more ribbon than we need. Now we're going to find that 1/2 inch mark and put our ribbon in there like that. And now it's ready to go on our card front right here. I'm putting it even on the sides and a little bit further from the top than it is from the edges of the sides. And that looks about right. Now all we have left to do is to use those perfect dots that I was telling you about. We're going to use one of the medium ones and then 2 small ones on the side. We'll need our piercing tool if you have it. Take it off. Be sure to leave plenty of room here for the one that goes on the side. That might be a little too far over to the center. We'll see. I can always move it. Just looking for ways to use up these embellishments and things that are retiring. Alright, our card is finished. This is the swap card for my April class. It looks like these should be a little bit further apart. Here, let me move those over. There, that looks better. Okay, now they look alike. So this is my April swap card for my team members. If you'd like to be a member of my team, you can email me at carolbcrafts@hotmail.com. Check out my website, www.carolbcrafts.com, and check out my customer reward program as well. Thanks for watching. Bye now.